Hello, hello. Let's talk about book series. When somebody asks you where should I start a series, reading a series, the obvious answer is probably the first book. And yes, this goes for almost every series out there, but there are some exceptions. And in this video today, we'll talk about 5 series that you may don't want to start at book 1. So what are these 5 series? You'll learn more about them after the title roll. 5 series you may not want to start at the beginning. The title is a bit of clickbait. You can start them at book 1, but you should probably listen to my argument about what you might not want to. And without further ado, we'll start with Mordor Sensation, a series that was very big in the 10s. Oh, that's a very bad thing to say. We'll start with the Harry Hole novels by UNESCO, or as people say in English, Harry Hole by John Nesbo. And you've probably heard of this guy. You probably heard that Snowman is an awesome thriller book, one of the best serial killer novels out there. So you probably say, oh, where should I start? Should I watch the movie? Of course, every Nesbo fan will scream, "No, not the movie! Don't see the movie!" Which is a pretty rational reaction to this movie. So you probably do some digging and you find out that The Snowman is the 7th book in a series. And not only that, but the series has some very long character arcs. The characters of Raquel and Oleg are very important in the series, and it impacts a lot of their relationship with the protagonist, Harry Hole, English. So you'll say, should I start at book 1? And hear me out. Book 1, The Bat, is not bad. It's actually a very decent thriller. Previously, I've read this book a week ago. For me, UNESBO's novels are a nice weekend flings. I spent an entire weekend involved with them. I have a ton of fun, and then they're done. I start them on Friday afternoon, and by Sunday I've read them. All of them, all 7 of them I've read, or 6 of them, sorry. The Bat, I've read it, it was good, it was fun, but it was not as great as the novels that came after it. While there are some glimpses of what UNESCO is able to do, and will do later on, it's not the full deal. Okay, there is the theater scene that is straight out of a classic Argentine movie. It's amazing. It's dramatic. It's impressive. It's thrilling. It's gory. It's everything you want in a thriller. But the pacing is a bit off. The main character, Harry Hole, is not developed yet, and it's sort of touristy because it's about a Norwegian detective who goes to Australia. So there's a lot of Australia culture. What is Australia like in the 90s and all this kind of stuff. And he's not in Oslo, so yeah, you may want to skip it. Even the major reveal is a bit off, and the red herrings are not that good. I haven't read the second book in the series, Cockroaches, which is set in Thailand, and from what I understand, it's mostly ignored by the readers. And I think the third book in the series, Redbreast, is a great jumping point. Why is that? First of all, it introduces Raquel and Oleg, and they're very important characters to Harry Hole's descent into what he has become in Snowman and further on. It's the first Harry Hole book that is set in Oslo, and every book after that is set in Oslo too. As far as Snowman, because I haven't read the next books. I've got the Leopard and the Fandom also, but I haven't read them yet. There will be 2 more weekends. In Redbreast, we also have long 3-book arc that is starting, And okay, apart from that, apart from all this stuff that have to do with the character arc of Harry, it's actually a great novel. I mean, it does everything I like about Nesbo. The pacing is great. There are great twists, the tropes. I mean, Harry is not investigating a murder that happened. It investigates a murder he believes it will happen. And there's also a gripping World War II storyline, and we'll have some stuff about the involvement of Norway in World War II and all this kind of stuff. We'll have a lot of red herrings. And yeah, there's this second arc that starts here and goes on until the fifth book in the series, The Devil's Star, that is very impactful what happens. And yeah, it's a great read. I mean, getting from Redbreast to Devil's Star is very gripping because there is this second arc you have to read, and then Redeemer is actually very fun, and Snowman is great. And of course, you can always jump straight to Snowman, but you will get some spoilers for the previous novels. So if you like it and you want to read more Eunice Boom books, then probably you'll have some stuff spoiled to you. That's no fun. And that's the first series. We have four more to go. The second series we'll have is probably less hyped in recent years because it's Jack Vance's The Dying Earth. And if you wonder what's that, that's a boomer science fiction, science fantasy series by author Jack Vance, where the sun is dying, magic has returned to Earth, and it's mostly fantasy after that. There are some science elements here and there, but it's mostly fantasy. And there is two reasons why you should know this series. The first one is that the magic system in the Dying Earth, as it is described in there, is the inspiration for Dungeons and Dragons in its magic system. Wizards memorize spells. The spells have levels and slots and all this sort of stuff. And yes, it's interesting in a way. And the first book, Dying Earth, gives us this system, and it's a book of six short stories, I believe, that are based on this world, and they're good, but they're nothing to write home about, in my opinion. But there's a second reason you should know this series, and that's Kuzel. And Kuzel is the star of books 2 and 3. Book 2, The Eyes of the Overworld, and the third is Kuzel Saga. Kuzel is a scoundrel. He is sent on a quest by a wizard, and he's one of the best fantasy characters ever. I mean, he's a rascal. He is trying to scam people. He gets into misadventures. He's scammed. There is a lot of stuff happening. It's very funny and engaging and fun. It's a great read. So, The Eyes of the Overworld is a definite must read if you're interested in older fantasy books from me, and also Kuzel Saga. The fourth book in the series, Rialto the Magnificent, is hit or miss in my opinion. There is a bit of weird fun mazes. If you're a fan of Terry Pratchett's University of Magic from the Discworld books, then you may appreciate this book, because I believe Terry Pratchett was also very inspired by Zach Vance. And speaking of Terry Pratchett, the third series I would suggest you should not start off book 1 is Discworld. I mean, okay, let's get some books out. This book here, The Color of Magic, is Terry Pratchett's debut novel. And it is, it's a farce. It's a farcical novel that pokes fun at all these boomer fantasy novels of old. I mean, we have a tourist who's coming to our Morpok. It's a city that's quite like Fritz Lieber's Langmar, and he is greeted by Rincewind, who is a net magician. He's sort of like Kuzel, who is trying to trick him, and we have a lot of references to classic fantasy like Conan, Anne McCaffrey Dark Riders, The Call of Cthulhu, etc. And The Color of Magic and The Little Fantastic, its direct sequel, are fun parodies of fantasy. But, if it's the first Terry Pratchett book you'll ever read, then, especially if you're not familiar with older fantasy books, then it may be a miss for you. I mean, later on, he is style, his humor matures, he gets much better, his themes get deeper, he's more interested in satire and anachronisms and all this kind of stuff. And he creates some characters who are far more interesting than Rincewind, in my opinion, of course. I mean, if you want some starting points for 30 plus the books, you can start with Mort, which is the fourth book in Discworld and the first Death book, and is sort of standalone. It's very fun. Small Gold is completely standalone, and so do the Pyramids, which is somewhere behind me. Yep, I'm pointing at them, I think. It's standalone, it's very fun. It's about religion. It's hilarious. It's a must read, most favorite 30 plus Discworld books. Of course, there is always Guards, which is the first City Watch book. And City Watch is one of my favorite. They're my favorites in Discworld along with the Witches. So yeah, you should probably start Discworld later on, not the first book, unless you are dedicated to reading a lot of books. If you want to have a tasty project, the Color of Magic is not the one you should probably read unless you're like me and you've read a lot of classic fantasy from the 60s and 70s. Speaking of 60s and 70s and classic fantasy, we'll talk about another very important sci-fi author from that era, and that's Ursula Le Guin. She has a series called The Highness Cycle, which is a science fiction series of novels that are celebrated. There are many classics in it, and you may want to start at book one, Arakanan's World, which I have not read yet, so it may be awesome, and it may be worth reading it. However, I can guarantee that the books in the Highness Circle, they all share the same cosmology. There is a growing intergalactic civilization, and we have different planets that are colonized in this civilization, and we have a lot of struggles with humans and the natives of the planets as a theme. And yes, you can track down every book in the series and read them one another, but Ursula again never wrote them as having eternal continuity. They're all standalones. And you know, if you go and try to find all those old books that may or may not be in print, you probably keep yourself from reading such groundbreaking novels like The Left Hand of Darkness, which is a very important sci-fi book about gender and sex and alien civilization. It's an amazing book, and as well as my favorite book from Ursula again, The Dispossessed, which is about space communists and anarchists, and it's a very good analysis of what an anarchist society could be like, and if people are really free in such societies, can they be seduced by the glory of the allure of capitalism? It's a great political sci-fi novel. You should definitely read it. And of course, we'll have more boomer fantasy in this. Yes, it's UNESCO and lots of boomers. We'll talk about the fifth series in this list. It's Michael Moorcock's The Eternal Champion series, which is a huge storyline of science fantasy novels. They're set in a multiverse, and we have many different incarnations of the Eternal Champion, which is a cosmic role for Eternal Champion is reborn again and again, different universes in this multiverse, and he has to restore the balance between law and chaos. And this series, Michael Moorcock's Eternal Champion, is a staple of fantasy because of the multiverse of law and chaos, of lots of elements you'll find everywhere in fantasy. He's one of the fathers of the genre, and he sort of has fallen into the memory hole for lots of people, which is a shame. But then again, if you go and try to read the Eternal Champion circle from the saga from book one to book, I don't know, depends on the series. We have a series of books that have similar motifs, and we have different characters who are part of the same character interact in cosmic crossovers all over the series and lots of weird stuff. And the saga starts with this book, Eternal Champion, with Erikozi, who is the first Eternal Champion to have the memory of being Eternal Champion. And it ends with the second Hawkmoon adventure, Count Brass. Or it sort of ends because, there is another trilogy that came in the early 2000s, I think. Let me check it out. Yes, that came in the first half of the zeros. And this trilogy, the Dream Quest trilogy, is ending with this book, The White Wolf's Son, which actually goes and gives us another ending of the multiverse and of the Eternal Champions saga, and does a very severe recon. I mean, there is something in there. There is something that happens, a revelation, a retcon in the Eternal Champion that really pissed me off. And I don't want to go too much into it. I don't want to ruin your experience. I think there's a third ending to the Eternal Champion saga in a DC comic from the 90s called The Multiverse. But I'm not quite sure because it's very surreal, it's very complicated, and yeah, it's a huge number of books involved in this series. It's 40 plus year of Michael Moorcock's writing career from the 60s, I think, to zeros. So, that's a lot of stuff. And I believe that there is a number of series that have been published with different books in them. I mean, I'm not sure all of them have the Jerry Cornelius books in there. They may or may not be included, but they're part of the Eternal Champion, even though Jerry Cornelius is not the Eternal Champion. But another character in these books is the Eternal Champion, and it's getting very complicated. So instead of worrying about what should I or should I not read, you go for any of the Elric books. It's 6 books collected in various editions. It's not 6, it's 8. Yes, it's 8 books at the moment. I'm confused. I don't know how many books are the Elric books, so that's probably tell you that no, you don't mess with the series, you go somewhere and you get the Elric novels or collections of Elric books, because most of them are short stories. The novels is Elric of Melibone and Stormbringer, and then there are 4 other collections of short stories. There is the ones, and then there is Castle of the Pearl and Revenge of the Rose, that were written years and years after the original 6 novels. And then there's a novella called Elric at the End of Time, and then there is the Dream Quest trilogy, and lots of comic books and stuff. But yes, just go read the initial Elric novels, and if you like it, go for Corum, Hawkmoon, Erikozi, or any other characters. If you're in this kind of stuff, just don't read the second Corum trilogy, it sucks. Or even, if you're more avant-garde or British and want to read some of the classic British stuff, you go for Jerry Cornelius. If you're not into weird stuff, then you get weirded out because it's very surreal. It's serious and way out of the scope of fantasy. It doesn't have black swords and albino sorcerers crying blood and souls for my lord Arioch. That's Elric, by the way. That's the 5 series. I'll give you a bonus, though, because it's not a book. It's a manga. And what's the thing with manga, contrary with most of the American comic books, where, starting at issue 1 is probably the issue you shouldn't start at, especially for Marvel and DC. In mangas, you start at the beginning, at volume 1, and there will eventually be an end, unless you're Berserk or One Piece. And today we'll talk about Berserk, which hasn't finished yet. And Berserk is it's a fantasy, it's a dark fantasy manga. It features Guts, a Conan-like character, who is thrown into the scenery of Game of Thrones, and he's fighting demons. And since we're talking about mangas, these Japanese demons have a taste for flesh and other appetites. It's grimdark as fuck. And I've seen some YouTubers who have heard some, lots of viewers suggesting you should read Berserk. They're raving about it. Yes, Donald Green, that's about you. I know you're not watching, but yes, it's about you. They get the first volume of the series, they read it, and they're disappointed. And you know what? I get it. The thing is that people who watch Berserk have read The Drop, The Good Part, the Golden Age arc. That starts, I think, at the end of Volume 3. At least in this version over here, which is not the Dark Horse version, it starts literally at the end of Volume 3. And I would suggest you find where the Golden Age arc starts and get this volume. I mean, okay, if you get Volume 3, you'll start reading, you'll throw in the middle of an arc, but it doesn't matter because it's the first 3 volumes is just guts slaying demons, and the artwork is amazing. So if the Dark Horse version is like mine, then you have guts coming in, slaying stuff, and then he meets Griffith, and you have some amazing artwork by Kentaro Mirio. I mean, let me find your page. And I don't want to show anymore because I know what will be the next page, because this manga is brutal about violence and gore, and at some point you'll get to this page over here, which is the start of the Golden Age. And that's grimdark as AF. And it goes, it's a huge flashback, and it ends at volume 13 or 14 of the manga, I believe, and it's absolutely epic, as in the best fantasy comic book ever. And Berserk is one of the rare occasions where I'll say, don't go into the manga, go watch the series. There is both series from the 10s, I can remember exactly. It's 3 original movies, 90 minutes each. But I would suggest you go and find the original 1996 anime series, watch it. It's 25 episodes, and then if you like, you go to the manga, because or you can get volume 3 and go to volume 13 and then return to for volumes 1 or 2, or if you're convinced, go there. Because yes, the Golden Age arc is amazing in Berserk, and it's a must read for any dark fantasy fan. It's even though Berserk is very dark, very violent, very brutal, there is a lot of heart. One of the best villains in fantasy, Griffith, is there, and Guts is an amazing hero and grows a lot, and the Band of the Hawk are just amazing, and Berserk is great. You should definitely, if you've read Volume 1, if you're not impressed, give it a chance. Go to Volume 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yes, keep reading it. It gets amazing at some point. So that was me. That was my 5 series. You should not start with book 1. And if you have any more series you would consider that you should not start a book 1 with the series, then go ahead. I'd love to hear your comments. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I'll see you soon on the video.